In a small town nestled between rolling hills and quiet forests, there lived a young girl named Emma. She was different from other children her age, with wild, curly hair and eyes that seemed to sparkle with untold stories. Emma loved nothing more than exploring the world around her, always carrying a worn-out notebook where she would sketch and write about her adventures. One crisp autumn morning, Emma discovered an old, dusty map hidden in her grandfather's attic. The map was yellowed and fragile, with strange markings and a mysterious X in the corner of a place she had never seen before. Her curiosity burned bright, and she knew she had to uncover its secret. Her grandfather, a retired explorer with weathered hands and kind eyes, noticed her fascination. He sat her down and began to tell her about a legendary treasure that had been lost for generations. The story spoke of an ancient artifact hidden deep in the nearby forest, a precious item that held magical properties and could change the life of whoever found it. Emma couldn't sleep that night. Her mind raced with images of adventure, secret paths, and hidden treasures. She packed a small backpack with essentials: a water bottle, some snacks, her notebook, and a compass her grandfather had given her years ago. As dawn broke, she quietly slipped out of her house, the map carefully folded in her pocket. The forest was alive with morning sounds. Birds chirped, leaves rustled, and small animals scurried between the trees. Emma followed the map carefully, checking her compass and marking her path. She was both excited and a little scared, but her determination was stronger than her fear. Hours passed, and the forest grew thicker. The sunlight struggled to break through the dense canopy, creating a mysterious green-filtered world. Emma noticed strange rock formations and unusual plants that seemed to guide her path. Something about this place felt different, almost magical. As noon approached, she found a small clearing with an old twisted tree at its center. The tree was massive, with roots that looked like they had been there for hundreds of years. Emma's map showed a symbol that matched a marking on the tree's bark. Her heart raced. Could this be the spot? She began to carefully examine the tree, running her fingers along its rough bark. Suddenly, she felt a small indentation that didn't seem natural. With gentle fingers, she pressed and twisted, and to her amazement, a hidden compartment opened in the tree's trunk. Inside, she found a small, ornate wooden box. It was beautifully carved with intricate designs of animals and strange symbols. Emma's hands trembled as she opened it, unsure of what she might discover. The box contained an old compass, but this was no ordinary compass. Its needle was made of what looked like pure silver, and strange writings decorated its surface. Emma realized this was more than just a treasure. It was a piece of history, a connection to something much larger than herself. As the afternoon light began to fade, Emma knew she needed to return home. She carefully wrapped the compass and placed it in her backpack. Her grandfather would be both surprised and proud of her discovery. Walking back through the forest, Emma felt different. She had experienced something extraordinary, something most children her age could only dream about. The forest seemed to whisper around her as if congratulating her on her brave adventure. When she finally reached home, her grandfather was waiting. One look at her face told him everything. He smiled, a knowing twinkle in his eye, understanding that Emma had just become part of a story much bigger than herself. That night, as Emma wrote about her adventure in her notebook, she knew this was just the beginning. The mysterious compass and the hidden forest held secrets waiting to be uncovered, and she was determined to learn them all. Her small adventure had changed everything. The world suddenly seemed larger, more mysterious, and full of endless possibilities. Emma had discovered that true adventure wasn't just about finding treasure, but about the journey itself and the stories waiting to be told. The next morning, Emma carefully examined the silver compass she had found in the forest. Its surface gleamed with unusual markings that seemed to shift and change when she looked at them from different angles. Her grandfather sat nearby, watching her with a mix of curiosity and excitement. "This is no ordinary compass," he said softly, his fingers tracing the intricate designs. "It looks like something from an old explorer's collection." He explained that some compasses were more than just tools for finding direction. They were maps to hidden stories and forgotten places. Emma noticed a small inscription on the back of the compass. It was written in a language she didn't recognize, a mix of symbols and strange letters that seemed to dance before her eyes. Her grandfather brought out an old book of ancient languages, carefully comparing the symbols. Days passed, and Emma became obsessed with understanding the compass. She spent hours in the local library, researching old maps and exploring historical records. The librarian, an old woman named Mrs. Thompson, became intrigued by Emma's passion. She began helping the young girl dig through dusty archives and forgotten collection boxes. One rainy afternoon, Mrs. Thompson discovered something extraordinary. The symbols on the compass matched an old legend about a group of explorers who had disappeared in the region many years ago. They were searching for a hidden valley that was said to contain a remarkable secret, a place where time worked differently and magical things could happen. Emma's grandfather shared more stories. He told her about ancient explorers who believed in places where reality bent and twisted. These were not just fairy tales, he explained, but possibilities that scientists and researchers had been studying for years. The compass seemed to have a life of its own. Sometimes when Emma held it, it would warm in her hands. The needle would spin wildly, pointing in directions that didn't make sense on any normal map. She began to keep a detailed journal of its strange behaviors. Her friends thought she was strange. They didn't understand her excitement about an old compass and mysterious legends, but Emma didn't care. She knew she had discovered something special, something that connected her to a world of adventure and mystery. One night, while studying the compass, Emma noticed something unusual. When moonlight hit the silver surface, the symbols seemed to glow with a soft blue light. She realized the compass was more than just a navigation tool. It was a key to something much bigger. Her grandfather suggested they should investigate further. He contacted some of his old explorer friends, sharing carefully copied images of the compass. Their responses were mixed. Some were excited, some were cautious, but all agreed it was an unusual find. Emma began to piece together a theory. The Kiwi compass seemed to be linked to a specific location in the nearby mountain range. Old maps and her grandfather's stories suggested there was a hidden valley that few people had ever seen. The compass might be a guide to finding this mysterious place. As summer approached, Emma and her grandfather planned an expedition. They gathered supplies, studied maps, and prepared for a journey that could take them deep into unexplored territory. The compass remained their most important tool, a mysterious guide that seemed to have a will of its own. The local community thought they were crazy. A young girl and an old man heading into the mountains with nothing but a strange compass. It seemed like a wild adventure, but Emma was determined. She had discovered something special, and she was going to follow it wherever it led. Her mother was worried but understood her daughter's passion. She had always known Emma was different, a child with an endless curiosity and a heart full of adventure. She packed extra supplies and gave Emma a special necklace for protection. The night before their journey, Emma couldn't sleep. The compass sat on her bedside table, occasionally catching moonlight and sending tiny reflections dancing across her bedroom walls. She felt like she was on the edge of something incredible, a discovery that could change everything. As dawn approached, Emma packed her final items. The compass was carefully wrapped and placed in a special protective case. Her notebook was ready for new discoveries. Her grandfather checked their equipment one last time. They were ready to uncover the mystery that had been waiting for years. The hidden valley, the ancient explorers, the magical compass. All of these were about to become more than just stories. For Emma, a real adventure was about to begin. The mountain trail was steep and challenging. Emma and her grandfather started their journey early in the morning, with cool mountain air surrounding them, and mist hanging low between the rocks. The compass seemed to pulse with a strange energy, its needle moving in ways that didn't match any normal navigation tool. Their first day of hiking was difficult. Rocky paths wound through dense forests and narrow mountain passages. Emma's grandfather, despite his age, moved with surprising strength and determination. He shared stories about previous expeditions, keeping Emma's spirits high during the tough climb. By afternoon, they discovered something unusual. Strange rock formations appeared that didn't seem natural. Some stones were perfectly balanced, while others had strange markings that looked like they were carved by something other than human hands. Emma carefully sketched these formations in her notebook, her hands shaking with excitement. The compass began to behave even more strangely. Its needle would spin rapidly, then suddenly stop, pointing in a direction that seemed impossible. Emma noticed that sometimes it felt warm to touch, almost like it was alive and communicating something important. As evening approached, they set up camp in a small clearing. The mountain winds whispered around them, and distant animal sounds echoed through the valleys. Emma's grandfather prepared a simple meal while she examined the compass under the moonlight. Something magical happened that night. The compass symbols began to glow softly, creating strange patterns that danced across the rocks. Emma watched in amazement as tiny lights seemed to flow from the compass, forming shapes that looked like ancient maps and forgotten pathways. Her grandfather was equally surprised. He had heard stories about magical compasses from old explorers, but he had never seen anything like this. They stayed awake, watching and documenting every strange occurrence, their excitement growing with each passing hour. The next morning, they discovered a hidden path that wasn't on any of their maps. The compass needle pointed directly toward a narrow mountain pass that seemed to be hidden behind large rocks. It was as if the compass was guiding them to a secret place. Their journey became more challenging. The path was narrow and dangerous, with steep drops on one side and solid rock walls on the other. Emma's grandfather moved carefully, helping her navigate the treacherous terrain. Their supplies were getting low, and they knew they needed to be careful. Midday brought an unexpected discovery. They found an old campsite that looked like it had been abandoned for decades. Rusty equipment, torn maps, and old explorer gear were scattered around. Someone had been here before them, searching for something mysterious. Emma's grandfather recognized some of the equipment. It belonged to an exploration team that had disappeared many years ago, the same team mentioned in the old stories about the Hidden Valley. Their discovery was more than just a coincidence. The compass became their most important tool. It seemed to be leading them toward something significant, revealing paths that were invisible to the naked eye. Emma began to understand that this was more than just a simple navigation device. It was a key to something much larger. As they continued their climb, the landscape changed dramatically. The rocky mountain terrain gave way to strange vegetation. Plants that looked like they belonged in a different world. Some had unusual colors, while others seemed to move without wind. By late afternoon, they reached a plateau that took their breath away. A hidden valley stretched before them, completely invisible from below. Mist swirled around strange rock. Formations and distant sounds suggested that something extraordinary existed here. The compass now glowed with intense blue light, its needle spinning wildly before pointing directly into the heart of the valley. Emma and her grandfather looked at each other, understanding that they were about to uncover something that had been hidden for generations. Their adventure was far from over. The hidden valley held secrets waiting to be discovered, and the magical compass was their guide into a world of mystery and wonder. Emma knew that this journey would change everything she understood about exploration and adventure. As the sun began to set, casting golden light across the hidden landscape, Emma felt a sense of excitement and anticipation. Whatever waited in the valley would be the most incredible discovery of her young life. The hidden valley seemed to breathe with its own mysterious life. Emma and her grandfather carefully made their first steps into this strange landscape. Strange plants with silver blue leaves surrounded them, and the ground felt soft and different from any terrain they had experienced before. The compass continued to glow, its blue light creating small patterns on the ground. Emma noticed that the plants seemed to move slightly when the light touched them, almost as if they were alive and responding to something invisible. Her grandfather watched carefully, his experienced eyes taking in every detail. Suddenly, they discovered an old structure hidden among the unusual plants. It wasn't a building in the traditional sense, but more like a collection of stones arranged in a perfect circle. Each stone was covered in intricate carvings that looked like they told a story of exploration, magic, and hidden worlds. Emma's grandfather recognized some of the symbols. They were similar to ancient navigation, markers used by explorers hundreds of years ago. But these were different, more complex, more mysterious. He explained that some explorers believed in places where reality worked differently, where time and space could bend and change. As they moved closer to the stone circle, the compass began to vibrate gently. Its needle spun faster and faster, creating a humming sound that seemed to match the rhythm of the valley. Emma felt a strange tingling sensation, as if something was calling to her. In the center of the stone circle, they found a small pedestal. It was made of a material that looked like silver, but seemed to change color depending on how the light hit it. There was a perfect circular indent that looked exactly like the size of their compass. Emma's grandfather looked worried. "We must be careful," he whispered. "Some discoveries are not meant to be disturbed." But Emma could feel something pulling her forward, a sense of adventure and curiosity that was stronger than any fear. With careful hands, she approached the pedestal. The compass seemed to grow warmer, its light becoming more intense. When she was just inches away, something unexpected happened. The compass began to float, rising from her hands and moving toward the circular indent. For a moment, everything was perfectly still. Then the compass dropped into the indent with a soft clicking sound. The entire valley around them began to change. Colors shifted, plants moved, and strange sounds filled the air. It was like the valley was waking up from a long sleep. Mysterious light began to flow from the stone circle. It wasn't like normal light. It moved like water, creating shapes and patterns that told stories of ancient explorations. Emma and her grandfather watched in complete amazement as the valley revealed its secrets. Images appeared in the light, explorers from different times, magical journeys, hidden places that existed between reality and imagination. It was like watching a living history book with stories flowing and changing every second. The compass continued to be the center of everything. Its light connected with the stone circle, creating a bridge between their world and something completely unknown. Emma realized they had discovered something far more important than a simple treasure. They had found a gateway to understanding the world differently. Her grandfather began to document everything. He took notes, made sketches, and tried to capture the incredible moment. But he knew that some experiences were beyond simple documentation. This was magic in its purest form. As evening approached, the light began to fade. The valley slowly returned to its previous state, with only subtle hints of the magical display they had witnessed. The compass returned to Emma's hands, now looking like a normal navigation tool. But they both knew nothing was normal anymore. They had discovered something extraordinary, a place where exploration meant more than just finding new locations. It was about understanding the magic that exists between known and unknown worlds. Their journey back would be different. They carried with them a secret that few would believe, a story of a hidden valley that existed beyond normal understanding. Emma knew her life would never be the same. The compass remained warm in her hands, a reminder of the incredible adventure they had just experienced. Whatever came next, she was ready for anything. When they returned home, Emma and her grandfather knew their lives had changed forever. The hidden valley and its magical secrets remained a mystery they could barely explain. Their photographs showed nothing extraordinary, just misty landscapes and rocky terrain, but they knew the truth. The local community became curious. People noticed something different about Emma. Her eyes seemed to hold secrets, and she spoke about exploration with a wisdom beyond her years. Mrs. Thompson from the library was especially interested. She invited Emma to share her story, listening carefully to every detail. Emma's mother noticed changes too. Her daughter would sit for hours, drawing strange symbols that looked like the markings from the compass. Sometimes these drawings seemed to move slightly when nobody was watching. The compass itself remained quiet, looking like an ordinary silver object. Scientists became interested. Emma's grandfather contacted some of his old explorer friends, sharing carefully selected information about their discovery. Some were skeptical, while others wanted to investigate further. They recognized that something extraordinary had happened in that hidden valley. Weeks passed, and strange things began to happen around Emma. Plants in her garden seemed to grow faster. Her drawings sometimes appeared to change when she wasn't looking. The compass would occasionally create small patterns of light when moonlight touched it. One night, Emma discovered something remarkable. When she placed the compass near her bedroom window, it created a map of stars that didn't match any known constellation. The stars moved and danced, telling stories of distant worlds and unknown adventures. Her grandfather helped her document everything. They created a special journal filled with their discoveries, careful not to reveal too much to the outside world. They understood that some secrets were meant to be protected, not shared with everyone. The local university became interested. Researchers wanted to study the compass and hear about their mountain expedition, but Emma and her grandfather were careful. They shared just enough to spark curiosity without revealing everything they had experienced. Strange visitors began to appear in their small town. Researchers, historians, and explorers would pass through, asking quiet questions about the mountain expedition. Emma's grandfather would answer carefully, revealing just enough to keep their interest without sharing the complete truth. Emma started to understand that their discovery was more than just an adventure. It was a connection to something larger, a world where magic and science existed together. She began studying ancient languages and exploration history, wanting to understand more about the hidden places between known worlds. The compass remained their most important treasure. Sometimes it would warm in Emma's hands, creating small patterns of light that told stories of ancient explorations. Her grandfather explained that some objects carry memories, and their compass was definitely one of those special items. Their relationship grew stronger through their shared secret. Emma's grandfather taught her everything he knew about exploration, navigation, and understanding the world beyond normal perception. He recognized that she was special, a true explorer with a heart full of curiosity. As months passed, Emma continued to change. Her understanding of the world became deeper. She could sense things that others couldn't: subtle changes in environment, hidden paths, and mysterious connections between different places. The hidden valley remained their greatest secret. They knew they would return someday, but they also understood that the valley would only reveal itself when it was ready. Some discoveries cannot be forced. They must be allowed to unfold naturally. Emma's drawings became more complex. She created maps of places that didn't exist on any current geographical record. Her grandfather recognized these as potential pathways to hidden worlds, connections between different realities that most people never saw. Their adventure had changed everything. What started as a simple exploration had become a journey into understanding the magical spaces between known and unknown worlds. Emma knew she was part of something much larger than herself. The compass remained their most important connection to the hidden valley. It was more than just a navigation tool. It was a key to understanding the extraordinary possibilities that existed just beyond normal perception. As Emma looked out her bedroom window, watching the stars move in their unusual patterns, she smiled. Their adventure was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning.